Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity. I'm Reverend Marla Mason, and Unity is the place where we are awakening. We are awakening to the truth of who and whose we are, who we belong to, what we belong to. For we belong to the infinite. We belong to something greater than we are. And it can be, it's an opportunity for us to be able to embrace that spiritual truth every single day, every single moment, every single breath of our lives. Here at Unity, we practice awakening to this truth by loving one another, by growing in our spiritual awareness, and by serving the greater good. So welcome, and I especially welcome those of you who are with us for the first time today. Our hearts are open to you. We are glad you are here. A little bit later in our time together, Monica is going to have some information for you about how you can get connected. Meanwhile, sit back, relax, enjoy this powerful spiritual community. In 2021, our theme is Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. So we're talking all year long about what is the timeless wisdom, what are the core spiritual truths that are at the center of all teachings, that are at the center of all humans, and how are those core truths supporting us in moving forward into an evolutionary vision, a vision of a world that works for everyone. And so in February, we've been talking about moving from thinking about the divine to actually experiencing it by being in its presence. And today, our theme today is a clean slate. We've made a resolution to consciously evolve and to recognize that all, the infinite all, is ever present and never changing. But you know what? Its appearance is always changing. How the divine appears in our daily lives, how it is revealed in our experience of life, is ever changing, and it doesn't always feel great. So how can we moment by moment start from a clean slate, embracing each moment in new and meaningful ways? So that's what we're talking about today. You've landed in the right place. If you would like to learn more about opening your heart and being present to exactly what is happening right now, this is a community that is run by a community. So let me introduce you to who is on board with me today. First, I want to start with Susan Neidig. Thank you for a beautiful meditation this morning. That was a powerful experience for me. Susan is also one of our prayer chaplains today. She'll be leading the prayer circle after the service, along with Jan Kalin, her partner in prayer today. So you can stick around when we are done as a large group here. If you'd like some prayer support, Jan and Susan will be here for you. I also want to introduce Clayton Brainerd. He's our board host today, our board of trustees, sees to the business of our center, and Clayton is our board host today. He's available to you for questions, and he will also be facilitating our offering a little bit later in the service. Monica is here holding things down the way that she does on Sunday mornings and throughout the week. She's our center administrator, and you're going to hear from her a little bit later with announcements. And then finally, I want to introduce Margaret Owens. She is such a blessing to the world. She's a singer, she's a songwriter. I actually haven't had the opportunity to hear her sing in quite some time, so I was super pleased to hear a few notes in our run through this morning. I welcome Margaret Owens into the heart of Unity. Thank you for joining us today. She has some music for us.
You're on mute, Margaret. You want to unmute yourself?
Let's try that again. Sorry about that. Here we go. It's a new day, shining so clear. It's a brand new morning. I'm so glad you're here. Feel your breath inside me and your power too. It's a sacred blessing to be living you. And I ask my eyes are clear, that they may see your face in everything, and that my arms remain wide open to receive and give the joy you bring. I pray my heart will sing a song of happiness so true. and that my footsteps only lead me deeper into you. This is my song for a new day. This is my plan for a new way. I have a hand in what will be. You can only do for me what you can do through me. Walking sure and steady down this brand new road with a full heart and a lighter load. Got the friends you gave me to enjoy the ride, packing peace and clarity on either side. So the storms ahead, they will be greeted with a sense of trust, and that the winds of change will bring my highest good. I know they must. Remembering that you are one within me here and now, proclaiming that I know my needs are always met somehow. This is my song for a new day. This is my plan for a new way. I have a hand in what will be. You can only do for me what you can do through me. And I feel an opening, like the parting of the sea, or the budding of a rose who understands it's time to grow. I feel a rumbling as the joy from deep within me springs, and I hear a joyful sound as your song of love from me abounds. This is my song for a new day. This is my plan for a new way. I have a hand in what will be, 'cause you can only do for me what you can do through me. This is my song for a new day. This is my plan for a new way. I have a hand in what will be, 'cause you can only do for me what you can do through me. Let it go and let it flow through me. Let it flow through me.
And so we turn within to the source of that flow, to the source of that love, to the source of all there is. We turn within to the infinite power and presence and love of God, that from which all things spring, that in whose image and likeness we are made. And we simply breathe in that truth together as we unify in consciousness with this infinite wholeness, this infinite beingness that we call God. And in this spirit of oneness, in this consciousness of unity, I declare and I know the spiritual truth. Each heart this morning is wide open to the music, to the message, to the spiritual community we share, to all that is about to unfold. We are a sacred yes to the divine expression of the infinite this day, and we are a sacred yes to the transformation in mind, body, and spirit that is taking place even now. And so it's in this awareness, in this consciousness, that I gratefully open this sacred and holy time together, calling it good, allowing it to unfold perfectly and divinely. I release it and I let it go, and so it is. Amen. And so I invite you to simply take a receptive pose. I'm going to read through this affirmation once, and this is your opportunity to hear it, to absorb it, to let it begin to permeate every moment of your consciousness and every cell in your body. I will read through this aloud. I am open to the promise of a clean slate, which every moment holds. With trust, joy, and delight, I am free to let God be God in me, and so it is. And now I invite you to speak these words with me with conviction, with ownership, with a sense that it is already true for you. Please join me. I am open to the promise of a clean slate, which every moment holds. With trust, joy, and delight, I am free to let God be God in me, and so it is.
May my thoughts fly away like petals on the wind, and may my breath rise and fall with the tide. May I stand secure in myself again, my spirit naked with nothing to hide. Let me know you in this garden. Let us be separate no more. Let me rest here in this oneness as I never have before. The winding path that my mind may wander can lead me from this place, and I forget that the trail you left me is found on every face. I stumble out here unsure and alone, till I remember and find my way home. Let me know you in this garden. Let us be separate no more. Let me rest here in this oneness as I never have before. Let me know you in this garden as you bloom from every tree, and you sing from every creature, and you radiate through me. Just as a seedling springs forth from the ground, I ask your spirit from me to abound. Let me know you in this garden. Let us be separate no more. Let me rest here in this oneness as I never have before. Let me know you in this garden as you bloom from every tree, and you sing from every creature, and you radiate through me.
And so we just rest in God. That's the whole and the half of it, isn't it? We have an opportunity to rest in God, because that is the realm of infinite possibility. The presence, the power, the beingness of that infinite invisible that we talked about last week is the place where all possibility resides. Anything can happen in the mind, in the body, in the heart of the infinite. And, you know, I've been thinking lately, here we are, we're almost to the end of February, aren't we? There's still so many unknowns. Yes. When is the vaccine going to be distributed enough that we can be doing stuff together again? Is school going to start? Is school not going to start? Is school going to start hybrid? Is school going to start all together? Is Unity of Bellevue going to start meeting again soon? Am I supposed to go back to my office? Are we always going to have this thing called COVID-19 in the background for the rest of forever? And that's just kind of the collective stuff, right? And we could probably come up with a few more. Then there's your life. Should I take the new job? Should I not take the new job? Should I leave work? Should I start the new relationship? Should I leave the old relationship? What about this project? What should I be doing with myself right now? So many unknowns here toward the end of the second month of the new year. And I was reflecting on how we talked about making a new start at the beginning of the year. And I thought, you know, we need to make a new start every moment. Every single moment. We have to start fresh every single moment. Otherwise, all of these unknowns start to feel really burdensome. Because when my focus is on the unknowns, when my focus is on, then I get, life starts to feel heavy. And life starts to feel not very manageable. And life starts to feel like I might want to start getting whiny and complainy. Anybody whining and complaining these days? The idea of starting fresh, though, the idea of starting fresh in every single moment, a clean slate, not just at the beginning of the year, not just at the beginning of the birthday, not just at the beginning of a project, but a clean slate every single moment. The thing with this kind of a clean slate is that it's not an external event. It's an internal state. We want to begin to cultivate the internal state of being present to every single moment as though it were brand new. Holding every moment in mind and in heart and in body as a brand new moment in a state of expectancy. Ernest Holmes said that a state of expectancy is a state of expectancy is a great asset. A state of uncertainty, one moment perhaps, the next moment maybe, the next moment I don't know. This is a state of never moving forward, never getting to where we want to be in life because we're constantly affirming maybe, I don't know, perhaps, whatever. And we are allowing ourselves to be weighed down by the unknowns. But walking in a state of expectancy, walking in a state of availability to that infinite potential that lives in the infinite invisible we talked about last week, living in that moment, living in that consciousness is an internal state, not dependent on anything out there. And here's the power of that internal state. It's powerful for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is, you know, sometimes we restart just for the sake of something new. Have you ever done that? Oh my God, I can't stand this job for another minute. I'm gonna go get another one. And then we go get the other job and we create exactly the same situations and challenges and problems in the second job that we just left in the other job because we didn't learn anything yet. See, when we restart simply for the sake of having something new come into our lives without resolving whatever was in the old way of being, we're just going to recreate it and recreate it and recreate it and recreate it. When we create this internal state of making every moment new, we can wrestle out of every experience what is to be known, what is to be learned in that experience so that we don't have to do it over and over and over again. And I got to tell you, I know of what I speak. I had the exact same boyfriend 5 times in a row. It just, I couldn't get past, and I kept breaking up. This isn't working. This isn't working. This isn't working. Well, they were fine. I wasn't working. I wasn't doing my work. I wasn't learning what was mine to learn. I wasn't willing to be present enough to the condition that was happening in my life, that I could learn what I needed to learn and move on. And then I don't have to recreate the experience every time I turn around. And so I can begin to ask myself, when I'm willing to be in the present moment, I can begin to ask myself, what new possibility is present right now in me? What new possibility is available to me in this moment? And I came across, it's kind of funny, I just came across this morning. I don't think I've ever heard it before. I've read a lot of Ernest Holmes, and I came across this quote of his this morning: "To those who lean on the ever outstretched arm of the infinite." Margaret's first song this morning reminded me of this so much, or maybe it was the second. Anyway, to those who lean on the ever outstretched arms of the universe, life is big with infinite possibilities. See, if I can lean into the outstretched arms of God, my life is big with infinite possibilities. I just have to learn how to lean. I just have to learn how to lean. And I'm laughing because, when we lean, it kind of feels off balance, right? Feels a little bit off balance, like I'm not quite center, I'm not quite, but that's okay, because I have said to the universe, I am willing to cultivate an internal state of willingness to be present to every moment. And I'm going to lean into the arms of the universe and allow it to provide me with that infinite substance, that infinite potential that is available to me if only I get my, you've heard me say this before, my bloated nothingness out of the way. Not my line. Gosh, what's his name? Famous guy. Emerson. We have to get our bloated nothingness out of the way, he says. So how do we lean? How do we lean into the arms of the infinite that are stretched out to us already? See, God meets us where we are. God doesn't say, oh, you got to come over here. God's like, I'm right here. I'm willing to meet you exactly where you are. And all we have to do is be willing to lean into God just a little bit, just a little bit. And so I have 3 ideas about how we can lean into the outstretched arms of the infinite, such that that infinite potential can become ours. Our potential can be individualized as us, as we talked about last week. And my first idea about this is around letting things be exactly the way they are. Ugh. I just gotta let things be exactly the way they are. No judgment, no fear. I just have to surrender to the moment being what the moment is. See, I think what happens with me sometimes anyway is like, I get so caught up in the story. This happened, and then this happened, and then the next thing happened, and then that happened. Only I'm still stuck on the first thing that happened. And maybe I'm starting to think a little bit about the second thing that happened, but I'm still blaming somebody or mad at somebody for the first thing that happened, or blaming me or mad at me for the first thing that happened. And then the next thing that happened, and the next thing that happened. And then I have to tell my story because it's all I think about is my story. But what if I just said, you know what? This is the way things are right now. And I am willing to be present to both the pain and the possibility of this moment. I'm willing to be available to what the universe has for me right here and right now. Otherwise, you know what we're doing? We're saying, well, I'll be okay when this happens, or when that happens, or when somebody does this, or somebody does that. I'll be okay when I've lost 40 pounds. I'll be okay when I get the perfect job. I'll be okay when my husband says he loves me. Nothing outside of you will make you whole. Nothing outside of me will make me whole. That's just not the way the universe works. Nothing outside of me will make me beautiful. Nothing outside of me will make me fulfilled or loved or prosperous. Nothing outside of me can create my experience of life. Only I do that. Only I do that. And so my ability to lean in and say, you know what? The way things are is just right. And now I'm going to mine this experience. I'm going to embrace this moment. I'm going to be present to the pain and the possibility, the pain and the promise. I'm going to be present to exactly what is unfolding and see what is there for me. Mine this moment. See what is mine to know, experience, and learn so that I can bring a new experience into my life. And I might need to get some support, especially if what I'm leaning into is a painful experience. I might need to, get a counselor or a practitioner or a prayer partner or someone who can support me as I move through this place. I might need to get some support in seeing the possibility. But as I find a way to let things be the way they are, I liberate things to change because I'm recognizing that nothing outside of me has any means of power or control over me. I am the one who moves in my life. I am the one who embraces possibility. I am the one who embraces potential. And I do that by being willing to be present to exactly what's happening right now, by leaning in to what the universe has given me, confident that the outstretched arms of the universal present are there to catch me. And then, number two, I actually have to do something. I was thinking about a lot of the metaphors that we use for a clean slate, right? A clean slate is a metaphor, right? A slate is something we write on with. It's actually a rock that we write on with chalk, right? Old chalkboards used to be made of slate. They weighed a lot. They aren't made of that anymore. And so the idea of a clean slate is that it's been erased. All the old is gone. But I also think of I'm old enough to remember it was a fresh piece of paper in the typewriter when I was writing a college paper. That was like a really exciting moment to me because it's blank. The computer screen doesn't hold the same kind of potential for me. But the piece of paper in the typewriter, like anything could go on that piece of paper. And I'm the one who gets to say a blank canvas. I think of I'm not an artist, but I think of an artist standing before a blank canvas. And that canvas can be anything. A tilled garden, if you're a gardener, it's like, it's all tilled, it's ready to plant. There's infinite potential. The open road, I took a little short road trip a few weeks ago. It was like the open road in front of me, anything could happen. Infinite potential. And in order for me to leave on the road trip, I got to get in the car, turn on the key, and drive away. In order for me to have a painting at the end, I'm going to have to put some paint on canvas in the first place. In our Wednesday night class, we have been reading some Ernest Holmes, and there's a story that he tells about the hen just sits on the eggs, right? That's what it does. It sits on the eggs. It doesn't argue with the eggs. It doesn't argue with God about sitting on the eggs. What it does is it sits on the eggs. That's what it does. And it doesn't say, oh, I'm not going to start sitting on the eggs today. It's too painful. I got too much going on. I can't sit on the eggs today. No, it just goes and it sits on its eggs. That's what it does. See, we have to get started. We have to do something. And interestingly enough, as I was kind of like thinking about the hen story later in the week, I thought, inside the egg is a chick. And when the time is right, the chick starts pecking on the inside of the egg. It's dark in there. The chick doesn't know what the outcome is. It pecks anyway. It just starts. It gets started. In spite of the dark, in spite of the not knowing, it just starts to peck on the inside of the shell. And the blessing on the other side of that shell is life, is fulfillment. The chick knows, it leans into the outstretched arms of the infinite, an unknown potential. It just does what it does. It follows its inner wisdom. I heard somebody tell a story recently of a man, and it's a Buddhist story, a man in the village saying, the blessings of Buddha will prosper this town. And the teacher said, if the blessings of Buddha were going to prosper this town, the town would be prosperous already because we're already blessed. I must pull forth prosperity out of me, out of my internal state of consciousness, and meet the outstretched arms of God where they are. The village will be prosperous when we be about what it is we must be about to be prosperous. It's not the Buddha's blessing. It's not God's blessing that makes us prosperous. It is our internal state of mind. Nothing out there can make me prosperous. Nothing out there can make me whole. I am already prosperous. I am already whole, and will experience that in the realm of form to the degree that I'm willing to be present to it and willing to get started doing in the world what is mine to do to bring that about. I lean into the arms of the infinite. Now, there's an interesting thing about that chick. Imagine if the chick and the egg pecked 2 or 3 times and then went, oh my God, this isn't working. And it's super dark in here. And I don't know what's going to happen. And maybe there's something on the other side, but maybe not. So I'm just going to like curl back down and stop pecking because it's too hard and it's too much work. And I just don't know what's going to happen. Have anybody ever done that? And this is my third idea about how do we lean in, is once we have allowed things to be as they are, once we have settled into getting started, putting some paint on the canvas, then we got to keep painting. You know, we have to keep painting long enough for the picture to begin to emerge. We have to keep typing long enough to get a draft chapter at least. We have to keep planting the seeds. Imagine if a gardener planted a garden in April. I think that's when you plant, maybe. Planted a garden in April, watered for a while, took care of it. Stuff was kind of coming up, but then went, oh, you know, this is actually me with my potted plants pretty much all the time. This is too much work. It's too hard. I can't do it anymore. And I don't know if those tomatoes are ever going to come up anyway. And why did I plant gladiolas? I don't even like those. And then stop in June. And by the end of June, everything is, too drying out and falling over and starting to die. And by July, you got a bunch of compost, right? Because we stopped. And depending on the weather, actually, you might get lots of wild things growing. But if you don't continue to tend the garden, you're not going to get the result you want. And then here it is August, and I haven't tended my garden since June. And I'm like, oh, that thing is overgrown. What a crummy garden. That's not a crummy garden. You stop taking care of it. The chick says, it's still dark in here. Life is not good. I see a couple cracks up there where I pecked away a few times, but then I just got done with it. Darned egg, stupid egg. Is this anybody? This is kind of my life story. I hate to tell you, but I hope that I've learned better. I hope that I've begun to embrace the idea that as I stay faithful to what is mine to do, and as I stay faithful to spiritual principle, clarity, possibility begins to emerge. If I stop painting, I will never have a piece of art. If I stop typing, I will never have a novel. If I stop tending my garden, or if I just pull over and say, yeah, well, so much for the open road. This was like a real bust, wasn't it? And I'm sitting alongside the freeway. What? So we have to continue to do what is ours to do. And throughout the entire process, we are letting things be as they are. Oh, it's a little harder chipping away at the inside of this egg than I thought it was going to be. Well, I bless that. It's a little uncomfortable in here, but I started and I'm going to keep going. Peck, 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 peck. Well, I'm not really feeling the energy for this painting right now, but you know what? I made a commitment. I had a vision. I'm going to keep my eye on the vision, and I'm going to keep going because I stay faithful to the vision. I stay faithful to the possibility of a finished painting. I do not allow my external experience to tell me who I am or what is mine to do. I simply stay faithful. I was thinking about my dad's house. So when I was about 9 or 10 years old, my folks were divorced. I didn't live with my dad, but I went down for spring break and I went down for a bunch of time in the summer. And my dad had started telling me that he was building a house. And that seemed pretty exciting to me. I didn't know anybody who'd ever built a house before. And my little brain like made a picture, right? The way our brains do. And so I went down for spring break, and we're going to go see the house, right? And so we get in the car and we drive out to Grace Harbor City, and we come down this little hill and around this hairpin turn, and Dad stops the car and he says, there it is. Well, what there was a big muddy lot. It was drizzly, rainy outside, and some trees, and there was a little bit of lumber over here, and there was one of those diggy machines things over in the corner. And I'm like 9 years old going, you guys, there's no house there. It's like, I had this idea in my mind what it was. And I just couldn't reconcile the idea I had in my mind and what I was seeing in front of me, this muddy, icky place. And as the week went on and we went out to work on the house every day, my dad had never built a house before. He didn't totally know what he was doing. But he was moving forward, and later that week, some guys came out and they actually laid a foundation. And I began to see the potential. Oh, right. Okay, I could see how that might be a house. You know what I mean? And then I went home and I came back in the summer and they were actually framing. And I really started to be able to see, but I also remember my dad staying up late into the night, figuring stuff out, right? Adding things up, paying bills, talking to my stepmom about, what are we going to do about it? And my stepmom just all stressed out and all of this stuff going on. But you know what? By the end of the summer, there was a house there. There was a house there. And out of all of the chaos, the confusion, the hard times, the not knowing how to do it, the dark places, and the joy and the beauty of a big, and the trees, and it had a view of the water, and, out of all of the beauty of the process and designing your own home and pulling it together and feeling empowered, out of both sides being present to what is, getting started in spite of the fact that it looked completely chaotic and undoable, doing it anyway, and then sticking with it right up until the trim is done and the floors are down and everything is painted and the appliances are in. And all of that chaos became a home. It became a place to be in loving consciousness for my family. I never would have believed it the first time I came around that little hairpin turn and looked down on that lot. But my dad leaned into the arms of the universe and said, I don't know how to build a house. I've never built a house before. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to get started. I'm going to keep going. The little chick said, I'm going to get started. I'm going to keep going. The painter said, the writer said, I'm going to accept this moment as it is. I'm going to see the vision through the chaos. I'm going to hold every moment as a clean slate, an opportunity to bring something new into being. And yes, indeed, the universe said, yes. Infinite possibility, infinite potential available to all of us when we are willing to lean into the ever outstretched arms of the universal presence. So let's turn within and do some of our own leaning. I invite you to bring your attention to your breath. And to bring to mind right now a place where you could use a new start. It might be a relationship, a job. It might be your home, might be COVID-19. Where is a place that in consciousness you could use a new start, a place in your life where you have been allowing the external to tell you who you are, and you are ready to cultivate a new internal state of awareness. Just bring that thing to mind. And allow it to be present in your mind. Allow yourself, your heart, your very beingness, every cell in your body to be present to this situation, to this condition exactly as it is. Notice whatever feelings are coming up for you as you consider this experience. It might be painful. Perhaps it's just uncomfortable. This place where you are willing to experience newness. Just allow yourself to be present fully to exactly what is happening. And see if you can begin to become willing to allow things to be exactly as they are. With no judgment. Simply allowing. Knowing that you are held by the outstretched arms of the infinite. Knowing that nothing outside of you can make you whole. You simply allow yourself to be present to what is. Embracing this moment. Confident that here in the outstretched arms of the infinite is infinite possibility, infinite potential. Anything can happen now. In your complete acceptance of what is, lies infinite possibility. And now begin to see yourself moving forward owning what is yours to do. What is the paint that needs to go on the canvas of your soul? What is it you must do to begin to peck your way out of this egg, fully present to what is? And yet knowing there is something to be done out of this state of beingness. And you allow yourself to understand what is yours to do, and you begin to envision yourself in that divine activity. You begin to see yourself layering paint on the canvas, typing words on the page. And you begin to see yourself allowing support for your process. Support for being present to whatever is happening, support for getting started. And now, ask yourself, am I willing to commit to keep going? Am I willing to commit to being in this experience long enough for clarity and possibility to emerge? Am I willing to tend this garden to its full bloom and potential? And if you are, simply say yes in your heart of hearts. Yes. And now give thanks. Give thanks for the house you are building, the consciousness you are building. Give thanks for the foundation you have laid this day, for the realization of the full potential, the full truth of who and whose you are. And embrace this sense of gratitude for the outstretched arms of the universe and your willingness to lean in complete faith. And so I give thanks for this message. I give thanks for the souls that are available and willing to hear. I give thanks for the infinite intelligence that has called us together this day to do this work together. And I close this message with a grateful heart, knowing that we have been transformed, that something wonderful is happening in each one of our lives. And so it is. Amen.
I stand in the silence, deafened by the echoes of the truth that flow from this knowing, a collection of the evidence and proof, to trust in creation as itself through me aligns, to know that my wanting more is selfishly divine. I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. I a being with no circumference who centers everywhere, who asks of us only to receive the gifts it's longing to share. I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. I am diving from the cliffs of circumstance to swim in your great abundance. I will not fight the current, but be carried into I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. I am seeking my God. I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. It's what's leading me, pushing me, urging me on. I am seeking my good, and my good is my God. I am.
Thank you, Margaret, for your mastery. I so appreciate that very much. For those of us who call this our spiritual home, we engage in giving as a spiritual practice. Our financial gifts to this center represent our commitment to waking up and creating a vibrant and thriving spiritual community. Therefore, we give generously with an open heart to this community of love. And in this consciousness, please join me as we declare our offering affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
And so I give thanks for these gifts. I give thanks for those who give so generously and graciously from the very heart of God in support of this ministry and in support of creating a greater center of love in the universe. I am so very, very grateful. And I bless these gifts and consecrate them to creating a world that works for all. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica McDowell Elvig, and I am your center administrator. If you are visiting with us for the first time, we welcome you. We invite you to seek your good with us at Unity of Bellevue online. We are completely online right now, and the best way to stay in touch with everything that's happening online is to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. That you can sign up for on our website, unityofbellevue.org. At the bottom of every page is a sign-up form. And you can also go to our I'm New page and request a welcome packet that has some free gifts for you. So get in touch with us. Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Some things that are happening online this week. First of all, today, following service, we have our prayer circle. Susan Neidig and Jan Kalin will be here about 3 minutes. We take a 3-minute break after the end of the service. And anybody that has any prayer needs, you are welcome to stay after and pray. You can also send them a prayer request at the email in the link. I've put all of the links and all of the websites and emails and everything on the chat, and also in the comments on Facebook. So send them an email if you have any prayer requests. Living What Matters this Wednesday, spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is great to do in a group. It's also great for accountability. Sometimes you'll lose track of keeping that spiritual practice going. So every Wednesday at 1 p.m., it's an informal drop-in group. It is free. We would love to have you. The Zoom link is in the chat. Also, this weekend is our next online social event. Tell me about it. We would love to have you join us to tell us something about maybe your life or something about in your family history, an event. You can email Sabrina an old photo, an heirloom, and she'll put it into a slideshow, or you can just come and tell a story. But we are asking you to register so you can get that Zoom link. That's at 7:30 this Saturday night online. There's also a kids show and tell at 7 p.m. So the kids can come on and share something special that they want to talk about with each other. So join us for that. And then next Sunday at noon is our annual community meeting online. If you would like to vote in that meeting and you are a member, we ask you to reaffirm your membership before that meeting. And also, if you would like to vote absentee, you can't make it, just get that request into me and by Wednesday at noon, so I can get you that absentee ballot. Everything else is in the chat and in the comments on Facebook. Have a blessed week. Bye, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Would you like to hear the story of the stain on my green check dress? There's only one place you can hear that story, and that's at Tell Me About It next Saturday night. So you come on out, get yourself signed up. Maybe there's a story you want to tell from your life. I'd actually love to hear your stories, because it's the stories, stories that make our lives, right? And so help us know one another more deeply and more fully. And then you also get to learn the story of the stain on my green check dress. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close with the prayer for protection. Thank you for joining us this morning. I am so deeply and richly grateful for all of you. Please join me with conviction. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a great week, everybody. I love you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
You want some love? I'll give you a piece of my time. Promise to walk to me. Just don't go mess with my mind. Sweet love. If you look, you find. You want some love? Well, here you go. I'll give you mine. You want some love, 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 love. You want some love, 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 love. You want some love? Here you go.